Hi, everyone. If you're just now joining us, we're going to give folks a little bit more time to get into the meeting, but thank you for being here. While we wait, I'll go over the Zoom protocol again. You'll notice that all participants are muted and your cameras are off when you come in for security. So if you guys have any questions or comments during the meeting, you can use the Q&A feature of the Zoom webinar. And also, if you experience any audio problems, you can call into this number on the screen and enter in the meeting ID and get the audio only for this meeting. So that Q&A feature, it's going to be located at the bottom of your screen. There should be a ribbon with the Q&A button there, and that's where you'll go and enter in your questions or comments if you're logging in from your computer. If you're logging in for your phone, it should be pretty similar. There should be a button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions. So, and once again, I just wanted to let everyone know that we are recording this meeting this evening. We'll get started in just a minute. All right, it's 5:05, so I think we've given people some time. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll go through the Zoom protocol one more time. Sorry for those of you who have heard me do it 3 times already. So you'll notice that everyone is muted. Your cameras are off for security reasons. If you have any questions or comments throughout the meeting or at the end, please enter them using the Q&A feature of the Zoom webinar. If you're experiencing any audio problems, you can call into this number, enter in the meeting ID, and you should be able to listen in. That Q&A feature is at the bottom of your screen. There should be a button if you're on your computer. Same if you're on your mobile device, there should be a button there. I also wanted to let everyone know that we are recording this meeting this evening. Okay, so let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us virtually tonight to discuss active recreation opportunities in Waterfront Park. I'm Nina Pisano. I'm a Senior Park Project Manager for San Diego County Parks and Recreation, and I'll be your host during this public meeting. We also have Makana Rowan from Chair Fletcher's office and Rosa Olaskoga from Vice Chair Vargas's office in attendance tonight to kick things off. We also have our Operations Region Manager for Waterfront Park, Christine LaFontant, and our Environmental Planner, Crystal Benham, as well as our Design Consultant from Michael Baker International, Jeremy Franzini, all here to answer questions at the end of the meeting. So to start it off, I'm going to hand it to Makana for some introductory remarks.
Thank you, Nina. Yeah, just wanted to say hello and thank you and your team and your colleagues for all the hard work around this exciting opportunity, and also everyone who is in attendance at this meeting. It's exciting to see community engagement around topics like this. And you know, Waterfront Park is our backyard at the County Administration Center, so it's exciting to see something happening. The whole thing is such a jewel, but there's a corner that's underutilized, and so the potential here is really exciting. I know personally we're pretty pumped about the potential of the Little League field and several of the other proposed features. So thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for being here. If you need anything, you can always reach out. Our whole team's info is on our website, supervisornathanfletcher.com. Thanks.
Thanks, Makana. And now I'll hand it over to Rosa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rosa Lasquaga. I'm a policy advisor for Supervisor Vargas. Thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to hear your input. This was actually one of the supervisor's first project that she was working on when she first started. So we're really excited to see what we hear from you all and how we're encompassing your remarks as we develop the waterfront park. So I look forward to just being around and listening to everybody's feedback. But at the same time, our office is always accessible to hear if there's any concerns or any questions. So thank you and have a good event. We're excited to hear it.
Thanks, Rosa. Thanks again to both of you. So let's take a look at our meeting roadmap for the evening. We started with our welcome. Next, we're going to recap the scope of this effort and the project timeline. After that, we'll discuss the survey results and then present the final concept plan. And at the end, we would love to hear any comments or questions that you might have. Okay, so let's get started with the scope of the effort. The Board of Supervisors directed the Department of Parks and Recreation to assess active recreation opportunities in the northeast corner of Waterfront Park, shown here in red, and also to look at surrounding downtown areas. The main goal was to engage the community, you guys, and host a series of public meetings to discuss the potential need for any active recreation in downtown San Diego. So we've already hosted 2 public meetings to do just that. And then we presented our finding to the board's Waterfront Park subcommittee in January of this year. The subcommittee then provided park staff with a recommendation on how to proceed with the final concept. Then on March 16th of this year, the Board of Supervisors recommended funding for the improvements to the northeast corner of Waterfront Park as part of our Capital Improvement Needs Assessment, also known as CINA. So that means when our department's operational plan is approved in July of this year, we're going to receive $3 million to complete the design, environmental analysis, and construction of the improvements. So that's really exciting. So back to the northeast corner of Waterfront Park. It's at the corner of Pacific Highway and Grape Street. Currently, there's a decorative garden and pathways. It's about 1.5 acres. The usage in this area has been observed as significantly lower than the rest of the park. And because Waterfront Park is already in our parks portfolio, we can use this existing land to provide the community with active recreation downtown. So we did look into other new or underutilized spaces within downtown that could support active recreation, but ultimately it was decided that this northeast corner was the superior location. So let's look at the project timeline. We're both where we've been and where we're going. So we started with our first public meeting and online survey in January of 2020. During this time, we also met with many stakeholders for input. We then synthesized all of our feedback and completed draft concept plans. These were shared at our second public meeting, along with a second survey in fall of last year. So the insights gleaned from that meeting and the surveys were then presented to the Board of Supervisors Waterfront Park Subcommittee. And we used the feedback from the subcommittee to draft the final concept plan that we'll be presenting here tonight in just a little bit during our third public meeting. Our next step is to begin drafting construction documents for more detailed design of this final concept plan. So construction documentation, like I said, is where more detailed design decisions are made, like what the paving is going to be, what the plant material is going to be, how we're going to rework the pathways, and those precise measuring of amenities and laying out. So we're also going to begin the environmental review during this time, also known as CEQA. And additionally, we'll be seeking a coastal development permit. So there's a lot to do in this next phase. So it's going to take about a year to complete. But after that, we can open the project to public bid and award a contract to a construction contractor. So once that bidding is complete, we can begin with the construction. Hopefully that'll take place in spring of next year and finish up by summer of next year. Let's quickly recap the results of the public survey and stakeholder impact. When looking at the combined results from the first survey, the second survey, stakeholder impact, this graphic shows the amenities from the most preferred to the least preferred. So walkways, seating, public art, basketball court, and a dog park were the top 5 most preferred amenities. Now here it is, the moment you've been waiting for, the final concept for the northeast corner of Waterfront Park. This concept was developed through a combination of the public outreach, site analysis, and input from the Waterfront Park subcommittee. So we're going to start here at the corner of Pacific and Grape. You can enter into the park through an ADA ramp. The first feature you'll come to is a dog off-leash area with some benches. Next to that are 2 pickleball courts. If you're unfamiliar with pickleball, it's basically tennis, but shrunken down with a wiffle ball instead of a tennis ball. Next to that is a full-size basketball court. Right below the pickleball courts is some space for some exercise equipment. There's also bench seating available here. And in the southwestern corner of this area is a new t-ball field. So this can be open to programmed games, pickup games, or the lawn can simply be used for picnicking when there's not a game being played. And then lastly, we have a spot for some table tennis right above the existing restroom over here. All of the perimeter trees will remain in place, and we're going to try to preserve as much of the garden in areas that are not receiving new active rec amenities. So we're going to work through the construction documents to really meld this plan together, both with the existing and the new. Okay, so we're going to open it up for questions. Again, please use that Q&A feature to ask your questions. Some of them may have already been answered in there, so check in there to see if they've been answered. Otherwise, I'm going to take some questions live. And you can also share questions with me directly at any time. My contact info is right here. And we're going to post the final concept plan and any updates for the project on the project website link. The webpage is here. I realize it's a little unyieldy, so you can simply go to sdparks.org, plans, development plans, and then Waterfront Active Rec should be under highlighted projects. I also believe we're going to be posting the presentation in the chat. So let me back up and get back to the final concept plan. And I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Jessica Geisler. She's going to help me orchestrate the Q&A.
Thank you, Nina. Good evening. My name is Jessica Geisler. I oversee marketing and public outreach for county parks. And today I get to help out with the Q&A. We do have a couple of questions and comments that have popped up already. The first one is from D. Jones, and it is this. The project area is already very nice with wandering paths and nice plants. Why not use the grass area off of Harbor? And I believe this is a good question for Nina just to talk about the site selection and acquisition process.
Yes, it sounds like you were at our second public meeting where we were considering some of the future Portland to the west of this site along Harbor Drive. And although that was is going to be a great future amenity, the harbor land has a lot of restrictions on it because Portland is statewide, regional for both residents and visitors. So they have some more restrictions on what they can and can't feature. So things like a pickleball court and a basketball court are not typically permitted on those lands, as well as a dog park is not allowed. And those were some of the top features that were requested. That's why we decided to go with our own land. But the Harbor Drive, it's still in the master plan. So it will most likely feature some passive areas. So in the future, you'll be able to get both. We're providing this active rec here in our park, and there will be some more future passive land.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nina. All right, our next question and comments come from Ellie Perry. She's a dog owner and a trainer. So here's what she posted. Has there been consideration to the size of the park, the dog park, I'm sorry, versus the number of dogs likely to be in the park at any one time? Too many dogs who don't know each other in too small of a location can be a recipe for not only the worst case of disease and fights, but creating an overstimulating environment that can lead to long-term anxiety and fear issues in dogs. That is a great question and some really insightful comments. I'm going to hand this over to Christine LaFontant, who oversees park operations, who can talk a little bit about the types of rules and regulations that we post at specialty areas within parks, just like this.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. So that's a great question. And what we're going to probably do, and this is the operations of this area is still not solidified. So it's great to know this in advance, having input, especially from a dog trainer. We'll most likely have to put some kind of regulations of capacity, right? We'll probably have a capacity at on the gates and let people know. And also, there is some stuff that it's at your own risk, but we will control that. We have security guards. We will have there's sheriff in place. There's park rangers in the park. There's other park staff that patrol the park frequently. So they'll be able to enforce that those limits if they get exceeded.
Great, thank you. And while I have you here, I want to ask you one more operations related question. Can you talk a little bit about our homeless outreach plans and programs and how we interact with different members of our community?
Are you talking about Annalisa's question?
I am, yes. She's, yes.
Got it. Okay, so we, as I mentioned, we do have a very robust security system at this park. And it's, it really is to protect the community. The park is for everyone. It's open to anyone who is gonna use the park according to the park rules. And so currently there's, a lot of benches and park areas for anyone to spend time in. I don't believe that making this particular area, changing it from what it is, the gardens now, to active recreation will necessarily increase our homeless population, our unsheltered population in this area. And like I said, we already have a lot of security in place that deters a lot of negative behaviors. So it will continue. We'll continue to have the sheriff's department there, security guards, and park staff to patrol the area to ensure safety for everyone.
Thanks, Christine. And just to piggyback on that, we always encourage park goers to let us know if they see something, to please say something. Our rangers are always present. Our security is always present. So just if you see something, please let us know so we can deal with it in a quick and appropriate manner.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate the tag.
Sure. All right, so we have a question. Let's see, Nina, can you pull back up the survey results? Because we have another comment on that, but also on another potential amenity. Perfect. Okay, so Heather is asking us, is there any way to include a flat roller skating or rollerblading area, since there is a huge public need for that, and there are not currently any dedicated areas?
Thanks. Yeah, we did get a couple requests for a roller skating area in this spot. But unfortunately, like I said, it's only 1.5 acres, which sounds big, but when you're trying to provide a variety of rec amenities, it gets used up pretty quick. So we didn't think there was adequate space for the roller skating area, but please feel free to reach out if you are still interested in having a roller skating area. There might be better use for or better space for it elsewhere.
Good stuff. I have a question from Megan. She's asking, will the dog park area be fenced?
The answer to that is yes, it will be fenced.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Ben's asking, are we counting on the perimeter trees to block stray shots from the pickleball courts, t-ball, and basketball?
Did perimeter trees, is that what you said? So there won't be perimeter trees, but there will be fence to help with loose balls at the pickleball, basketball, and the t-ball.
All right, great, thank you. Annalise is asking a question about the basketball court. Are we going to be enforcing hours and restrictions? I know that once we have all of the rules in place, we'll certainly post signage, but Christine, maybe you could talk a little bit about how we patrol those active recreation spaces.
It'll be similar to how we patrol the rest of the park, but I am we're not there yet as far as hours and if there's going to be lighting or not. So that's still up in the air. So we're going to be looking at if it is hours of operations. The park hours currently are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and those will be the hours of operations of the area. And if there's lighting, then they will go till 10 p.m. But the whole time, as I said, we do have sheriffs, security guards, and park staff that will be on site.
Awesome, thank you. Bata is asking, how do we get involved with potential sponsorship opportunities? You can contact me. I will put my email address in the chat. You're welcome to contact me or also to Nina. We can certainly connect you to the right source and get a feel for what you're looking to assist with. But we thank you so much for your interest in that opportunity. And I will post my email there in just a second. Okay, I have another design question. This one's coming from Mitchell. Mitchell's asking, why not make the ball field bigger? Field rentals can generate more income if the field is able to be used by multiple age groups. So I'll hand this one over to Nina.
Another good question that speaks to kind of the restrictions of this space. So right now the T-ball has 100-foot foul lines, and we explored other sizes, but because we're trying to provide a variety of recommendeds here, the 100-foot foul line really fit best and still gave enough buffer outside of that. So we're hoping that we still will be able to attract people to come and program this area, even with the 100-foot foul lines, which is actually a pretty standard size. It's the same size as the Park at the Park T-ball field. So I think it will still be adequate.
All right, good stuff. Megan's asking if there can be a separate discussion regarding the dog park. That is a great question. So what I would highly recommend is reaching out to Nina directly and letting us know what you think, any comments or questions or concerns you have. That's a great way to get those conversations going. And of course, we can look at that as we start to go through the whole environmental analysis process for this property. Let's see here. Linda's saying, I don't recall a T-ball field being something that was wanted. So do you want to talk a little more about that public meeting process, Nina?
No problem. Yeah, so the T-ball field was one of the amenities that was able to be selected, and we did get some people saying that they were really interested in that. When we presented the results to that Waterfront Park subcommittee, they were really interested in the T-ball field as a place for people to come together and participate in some organized sport and some pickup games. So that's why it was ultimately decided to be included.
Great, thank you. Kathy's saying she's looking at the size of the dog park and it looks a little too small. So at this point of the design process, is it possible to enlarge the area, or are we pretty much set with what we've got?
We're pretty much set with what we got. I know there's a lot of spatial questions, so I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but it's both the shape of this area and the size of it that really determined what we could fit and how we could fit it. You know, we can't change the size of a standard basketball court and the shape of a standard basketball court. So when we laid everything out, this was the size that felt right. It could fluctuate. Things always tend to shift a little bit when we get into that construction document phase, like I said, because that's when we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of how things will be laid out. But I wouldn't expect it to expand too much. Jeremy Franzini is on right now. Jeremy, if you wouldn't mind sharing the current square feet of the dog park as shown here.
Hi, yeah, the dog park is just under 7,000 square feet right now. And that's with just a little bit of a buffer around it as it's shown there. And there's enough room to fit some dog agility equipment in there as well. So, you know, that's kind of the size that we're looking at right now.
Great, thank you. And I should also mention there is another dog park, the Little Italy Dog Park that's not too far away. So this one, it's meant to complement that one and be another area where people can come and take their dogs off leash, because we recognize that although there is one close by downtown, like as what's been said in this meeting, it's really dense. And so we figured it was appropriate to have multiple areas. But hopefully this one won't become overcrowded because there is another facility not too far.
Thanks, Dina. I have another dog park related question. Have we considered the type of ground surface that we will be using for the dog park? This one comes from Alexis, in addition to addressing the cleanliness and the smell. And this could either be a Nina question or a Jeremy question. I'll let you guys decide.
I can take it first. The answer is that we don't know exactly what the surface is going to be. That's another thing that's determined when we get into the more detailed design. Most likely it will be decomposed granite. Decomposed granite is good both for drainage and for cleanliness, and typically grass gets really torn up, especially with such a small dog park. Grass really only works when you have a large area, so the traction is not so concentrated. So most likely it will be decomposed granite or wood chips, but we'll decide that when we get closer. Christine on the operation side, or Jeremy, if you want to speak to the smell, probably more so Christine, because that's going to be part of the maintenance of the dog park.
And that will definitely depend on the type of surfacing that we have. So whatever that surfacing is that gets added to the park, we have other dog parks in our system. And so we'll look at the best management practices for those other locations and see how we implement those to make sure that we are, you know, maintenance is one of our top concerns. And so making sure that the park looks and smells good is going to be very important. So we'll, depending on, and especially if we have a separate dog park discussion with some of the members of the public and they want to come up with some ideas as well of what is the best surfacing, then we can relay that and then figure out what the best way would be to maintain that particular surfacing.
Great, thank you. So it sounds like there might be a few people interested in having those dog park conversations. Might even be worth having a little separate focus group. So please reach out to Nina, get on that list, and we'll be in contact with you. All right, I'd like to jump over to resource management if possible, since we haven't heard much from Crystal yet. There is a comment from Annalisa. Annalisa is concerned about the loss of green space since we have so few green spaces downtown. Could you talk about the environmental impacts of having some additional paved areas at this property? And then maybe talk a little bit about what goes into that environmental analysis.
Sure thing. So as Nina mentioned, we are still working on the environmental analysis. So in terms of the results and what the impacts would be, I do not have an answer for that today, but that will certainly be something that we consider as part of the analysis. And in terms of process, there was a large-scale document, environmental impact report, created for the larger park, and we will be looking at that former analysis and tearing off of that document.
Great, thank you so much. All right, this is a really great question we have from Stefan. What will happen to the existing sculpture that's over there in the garden right now?
That is a good question. We have not forgotten about that. So we have the information of the original artist and the agreement that we have to have that art piece there. So we're going to be reaching out to them and hopefully relocating it. It's located right about here. So it will most likely have to move, but we'll work closely with the artist to figure out the best place.
Okay, thank you, Nina. And Ahmad's asking, will there be any water features, or is this kind of what we see is not including water?
Correct. Because the fountains are right here, we got a really awesome, probably one of the best water features in the entire county right here. We're not looking to do any additional water features within the northeast corner.
Great. And one more question for you, since we have a lot of comments on the design, which is fantastic. That's what this meeting is for. Vicky's asking, why pickleball and not sand volleyball courts? Volleyball would let more people recreate in the same space, right?
That's a great question, and both amenities have validity. The pickleball courts were the ones that we decided to choose because we could fit more of them. The sand volleyball is a little bit larger, and this way you could have a couple different pickup games. So that way, if one court's being occupied, hopefully there will be another one that's free. We probably wouldn't be able to get as many sand volleyball courts with the other amenities in this area. There is no right or wrong answer, but we ultimately decided to go with the pickleball courts.
Great, thank you. All right, Amy is asking an operations related question for Christine. Would there be a reservation system for the basketball court and for the other amenities here?
Currently, we are not looking at, we're looking at them being open play, not necessarily reservable, but if that becomes an issue or it becomes a need of the community, we could definitely look into that. We may have some programs in this, like pickleball classes and dog agility or dog obedience classes, but as far as public reservations, we're not considering those at this moment. But like I said, it could change depending on public need.
All right, thank
I
you.
wanted to interject for 1 second and remind folks that sand volleyball might also be included in the Portland. So that's why it was something that was one of the features that could be provided in the Portland. So that's not necessarily off the table for this area, whereas pickleball, we wouldn't have been able to put on the Portland.
Okay, thank you, Nina. All right, so for Christine here, this is coming from Marshall. Will the area still be able to host equipment and resources for larger music festivals or like comfort stations once it's redeveloped into an active recreation space?
Yes, we could. It can be used for that. Typically, we're going to want to have this area used by the public and not reserved for events. But if an event such as like the music festivals that we already host crossed, we close the entire park, and that's for safety and security, and also for the making sure that that there's enough space for all the equipment and all the people. So yeah, it can still be used for that, but it's not going to be very frequent.
All right, then, and I have a question for Mitchell that's kind of related. Who is going to be managing this part of the park? Is it going to continue to be the Waterfront Park team?
Yes, there's going to be the Waterfront Park team, the same team that does all the events and programs at the park currently.
Great. And then if anybody has a question, comment related to security, in addition to contacting staff, do we have phone numbers published where people can reach out and connect with emergency personnel?
Yes, there are. And some of our signage currently at the park, we do have the non-emergency line for the sheriffs. And since the sheriffs are on site, they can respond really, really quickly. But we certainly can post the number for security as well. We can post both numbers in this area if that's a great idea. So yeah.
Great, thank you so much. All right, Amy is asking about the subcommittee. Is the subcommittee made up of local residents? She's asking because a T-ball field was ranked last in the preferred amenities. So I'll let Nina take this one.
No problem. So the subcommittee is made up of members of the board offices, both District 1, Vice Chair Vargas, and District 4, Chair Fletcher's office. So they were the ones, they have oversight of their communities, and they were the ones that are on the subcommittee. I should also mention with the T-ball field that the Padres are interested in sponsoring it and helping program it. So that was another reason why we're including this feature, because we do think with their help, we're going to be able to actively hopefully program it and have it be a really useful feature in this area.
All right, thank you. And just a quick comment to folks who are posting questions. I'm not 100% answering them in order. I'm trying to lump some of the topics together. So if I haven't gotten to you yet, I promise I will. I just want to, in the interest of everybody's time, try to pull those same concepts together to the same responses. All right, so my next question is from Scott. Do we have a sense of what was spent in creating the existing garden and paths that currently exist in this area? And that probably is a Nina question. Or Christine? No.
So say it again. What went into the original design?
What was the original cost of what's there right now?
Oh, the original cost. You know, I don't know the exact cost specifically for the garden. The entire waterfront park was designed and constructed by our partner agency, the Department of General Services. So I don't have that cost off the top of my head. If you want to email me, I can try and dig in and get a better idea. But unfortunately, I don't know.
All right, thank you. This next one comes from RHB. So the comment is 3 areas have fence. Where do you see the #1 feature, which is walkways? So can you talk through, looking at this map, kind of where the continuity of all the walkable paths would take place and what's really changed?
Absolutely. And again, that's one of those things that we're really going to finesse when we get into the more detailed design. So we're going to create pathways that hopefully loop around all of our features and connect it better. We're just not really showing it in the concept plan at this time, but we will work out areas for the pathways to loop around.
All right, a dog park comment, and I would encourage VJ to please join the dog park focus group that's probably going to be taking place after this meeting with Nina. Reach out to her and let her know you're interested. But VJ is asking if you can surround the dog park with fragrant plants like sage. So great recommendation.
Yeah, I think that sounds fantastic. And that's, again, plant material is going to be one of our next things as we get into detailed design. So we'll look at that.
Good stuff. And then Jeremy, if you could come on again real quick and mention what the measurements of the perimeter of the dog park are.
Sure. Again, the square footage of the dog park, as I mentioned before, is just under 7,000 square feet. And the perimeter fence encompassing it is about 350 linear feet, because that's measuring the perimeter around the dog park.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we have a comment from Mel. Was the extended plan discussed about closing Harbor Drive? This seems extreme and will force heavy traffic on Pacific Highway, which is not ideal. Also, those plans showed trees that would block the beautiful view of the iconic Star of India. Just wanted to follow up on this from the last meeting in October.
Yeah, great follow-up. And that's going to be moving forward as part of the Port of San Diego's master plan. So our department is not leading that effort. Their master plan is posted online, and I know they're still in draft, so nothing has been finalized for their plan yet. So I wouldn't have an answer to exactly what's going to go in there yet. I think it's still being developed.
Okay, thank you. And I have a question from Ben. In some of the earlier public meetings, there was mention of nearby and adjacent properties. This concept seems limited to the county's park. Will that be the only property analyzed in the upcoming EAR CDP construction documents?
Correct. Since we're moving forward with the northeast corner of Waterfront Park, although yes, we looked at other areas, but because of limitations on any of those areas, we decided to move forward with the land that we have. So that will be what's analyzed. I can let Crystal follow up if there's anything else. Okay, it seems like I got it all.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. All right, so Annalisa says, yes, please post the numbers for security concerns. We could post it in the chat here, and then this meeting is being recorded, so we'll make sure to note it as we start to develop signage for the park. All right, Stefan is mentioning that unfortunately the artist who created that gorgeous sculpture has passed away. but suggests potentially moving it to position number 10 on our map, which could also be viewed from Pacific Highway.
Yeah,
Christine,
so that's we work with the foundation, the Nikki Foundation. So yes, we will work with them to determine the best alternative spot that would be good for the public, for the park, and for the foundation. So all around, we'll find the perfect spot for it.
good stuff. Thank you. Okay, I have two more dog park related questions here. Alexis is asking if the dog park is larger than the one that currently exists in Little Italy. That's the first part. And then Kathy has a related question. She's saying she was looking for measurements of the 4 sides of the park, not the total. That would give her a clearer size of the dog park. So Jeremy, do you want to help with this one?
Yes. And let me just preface this by saying all these measurements and square footages and numbers that we're talking about are all very conceptual in nature, based off of the drawing here. As Nina's mentioned several times, we're going to fine tune all of these components in the final design. So these are just giving you an approximate idea. We don't want anyone to take these as literal final numbers of the overall design. But just looking at the perimeter fence, you know, it's not a perfect square. As you can see, it's following the shape of the area. Each side is between like 85 and 90 feet long, which is what we're coming up with right now. Again, we'll be fine tuning this during the final design as we move forward.
Okay, and I'm not sure if anybody on the call knows the answer to this one, but do we know if the dog park would be potentially bigger than Little Italy, or do we know the dimensions of the Little Italy dog park?
I don't know the exact dimensions. I mean, looking at it roughly on an aerial, I think they're going to be pretty similar in size, actually. So we can figure out the measurements. I don't know off the top of my head though, but just with a quick eye, they look pretty similar.
All right, thank you. All right, Amy's asking for Nina's email address. I'm sure this is a common request, so we posted it in the chat, but we can go through it real quick. It's Nina, Nina.Pisano, Pisano @sdcounty.ca.gov. So feel free to reach out to her directly to be part of the dog park focus group or to send any additional feedback or comments. All right, we have a comment from Annalisa about potentially building a mini golf course instead of the volleyball field. And at this point, I'm not sure if we're considering any additional amenities, but I'll hand this one over to Nina.
So at this point, we're not considering any additional amenities. I'm not sure. I feel like this might be in reference maybe to the volleyball courts at the future Portland. If they're mentioning volleyball, because we don't have volleyball here, or perhaps they're mentioning a different area altogether. But at this time, these are the amenities that we're focusing on.
All right. I have a couple of comments related to fences. Annalisa wants to make sure the fences don't ruin the beauty of the area and views like the horrible blue mountain on the other side. And that's actually a really good comment. I know aesthetically we try to use materials that blend in with the natural environment, and we certainly don't want to obstruct any views, but we also want to make sure that the park is safe and secure. So it's kind of a mix of different considerations that go into any of the infrastructure that's built into our parks. I'm not sure if Crystal or Anita want to mention anything else about decisions around fencing.
Yeah, it's actually a really great question, because we will be going to get to the Coastal Commission as well. And they take the view sheds obviously very seriously. So we're really going to work with them to determine fence type and heights and things like that to ensure that we're not interrupting any views. So you can be assured that we're going to preserve those views.
Great, and BJ has an awesome recommendation here to see if there are any plans of using the fences to double up as artwork.
I love that idea. And if there's potential for that, I think that's a great idea.
All right. Okay, Stacey has a question here. What is the next step on the final plan for the waterfront? Will this go up for a vote to City Council or the Board of Supervisors? Or when can people expect for the project to start development? Also, do we have an anticipated opening date? A lot of questions in one, sorry.
Yeah, so to go back, so the Board of Supervisors already did indirectly approve of this project because they already approved the funding for the project. So we will be receiving in this CENA that happened on March 16th of this year, our funding was recommended. So we should be seeing that in July. We will go back to the board again to advertise and award a construction contract. So they'll see it again and then vote to approve for us to go out to construction for the project. And then the second question is, when are we going to start with the development? And the answer is now. So since that money is coming, we're starting to get ready to move into construction documents.
Great, thank you. All right, let me pull this up real quick here. Okay, are any roller skating surfaces and roller skate areas going to be included in our plan?
So this is similar to a question we heard earlier. And we did get a few responses on our survey asking for a roller skating area. And as I said before, this site is only 1.5 acres, which sounds big, but it goes quickly when you're trying to provide all of the requested amenities and suggested amenities. So we determined that this wasn't the best site for a roller skating area. So at this time, we're not looking to include it here.
All right, thank you. Right now, that's the last of the questions I have. If anybody else has any comments, feel free to post them. Just want to remind you this meeting was recorded. And once we have the final recording uploaded, we will post it to our website, sdparks.org, where you can recap the whole thing. Additionally, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to Nina just to be included in all future communications related to this project. And if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities or anything to do with marketing or communications, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is in the chat, but it's Jessica, Jessica, .geisler, GEISZLER @sdcounty.ca.gov. Oh, we do have a new question. All right, Mitchell's asking, is there going to be a bathroom? Great question. Christine, you want to talk about what's on site right now?
Hi. If you look at the map, the area right where, that area that Nina is circling, that is a bathroom currently. Water fountain, bathroom, and right now there's a little area there that we're not sure what we're going to use it for, but it could be for renting out pickleballs or basketballs or things like that. So we're not sure yet what we're going to do with it, but there is the potential there for that.
Cool. And could you remind us what the park hours and the restroom hours will be?
Park hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Great, thank you. Claire had a follow-up comment on roller skating. Will there be any smooth concrete paths that are good for roller skating? I know the perimeter of the park has pavement. I don't know if anything else internally will be paved, but I'll hand that one over to Nina.
Yeah, so there will be concrete pathways in this new area. I'm also going to hand it to Christine just to hear about what's allowable for roller skating in the park currently, because there is lots of concrete now.
Yeah, so currently we are not there. We don't allow for roller skates, rollerblades, skateboards, bikes. It's just the park is too busy. There's too many people. And those items are, with the scooters and the electric bikes, we've just had a lot of issues. And so it's a park rule that there are no wheeled devices, basically. So we remind all our patrons through our security guards and their signage up in the park. But yeah, there's no, and it's just very narrow. And so it'd be really difficult to have all that activity happening at once.
Got it. And then Crystal, I just have a question for you. Looking at the potential trees or vegetation that could be added to this area, what types of things do we consider when we add new plants to a park property?
We consider a variety of things. So like I mentioned, there was a former environmental document for the larger park, and we'll be using that as the basis for our environmental analysis. So we will be looking at what was considered previously, and then we have an arborist that's part of our parks team, and we always work with him to get recommendations for what would grow and thrive in an area. And then of course we consider things like local biodiversity and what kinds of plants would work in this native environment.
Good stuff. Thank you. All right. Alexis is asking, are there plans to provide more skating area in other parks? With COVID, there's been a significant increase in individual activities, but it doesn't seem to have been addressed. So this could be a Nina question. It may just be a general operational question for county properties. I can real quick just mention that there are over 2,000 parks in San Diego County. County of San Diego itself manages a little over 100 properties. So there are quite a few landowners, different jurisdictions, and obviously different rules, which doesn't make it simple. But I know there are for sure some paved properties. So I can maybe hand this to Christine to see if we have any information about adding these types of amenities to other properties.
Not that I know of, but I know that it has blown up over the last year. I see all my friends posting videos and photos of them on roller skates. I know it's a need. So we are just, it's almost like we're just kind of a development of these kinds of amenities is it's a new trend. So we have to start looking at where would be a good place within the city of San Diego. Parks and Rec, the county doesn't have a ton of space, but this is something that we can also work with the city of San Diego, their Parks and Rec department, to look at where they can provide this amenity. So we understand that it's a trend that we need to address.
And I just want to add that I appreciate your passion for spending quality time outside. It's so nice to see people want more recreation amenities and opportunities in their town. So, and we're fortunate to live here, right, where we have wonderful weather year round, well, mostly. So thank you. And we'll make sure to share that information with our stakeholders. Okay, question from BJ. Can city parks have neighborhood vegetable gardens? Any plans for the Little Italy area? We don't manage any of the city properties, unfortunately, just the county, but we do have several community gardens throughout the county, through our properties. And we just opened up one in the Bonita area, Sweetwater. So if you're interested, I can certainly send you some information. Garden plots are available and they can be rented on an annual basis. And I think that might be it. I don't see anything else popping up. Again, we will post the recording to our website, sdparks.org, and we'll post all of our project updates there too. So feel free to just visit our website, type your questions or your keywords in the Google search, and you should see what you're looking for. If not, please reach out to Nina or myself, and we'll make sure to connect you to the right information. Okay, I think my work here is done. I'm going to hand this one back over to Nina.
Great. Thank you so much, Jessica. And thank you again to everyone for joining us tonight and for your thoughtful comments and questions. We're so looking forward to being able to provide you with more active recreation downtown. So stay tuned, check out the webpage, we'll post updates. And until then, have a good night, everyone. Bye.